What an amazing opportunity it has been to be here this week and to be with our friends here at PRF Guatemala and just to create new friendships and new opportunities for the coffee industry. And it's really opened my eyes to Guatemala and the amount of work it takes for you guys to produce amazing coffees. And so it's an honor and a privilege to be here today. Today I'll be talking about cold brew, specifically innovations, technology, and theory around enhanced extraction. I got my start in the industry as a barista, like so many of us do, and really quickly fell in love with the industry and never really looked back. It was an amazing time, and I loved being a barista, but at the same time, it is so difficult to create consistent and good drinks, as you have many different baristas, and throughout the day, things can become inconsistent, and you can't always produce the perfect product. This is one of the main reasons why I fell in love with cold brew. In cold brew, the coffee that you buy as green and you roast and you put all the effort into, brewing goes directly into the customer's hands. You can take a beverage that you so carefully crafted and deliver it exactly to the customer in a very consistent manner, which was exciting for someone as particular as me who cared about the craft and quality of the coffee. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about the word cold brew and how nowadays it can kind of be a confusing concept. In coffee, we typically refer to a beverage as the brewing style or the brewing method. So you have espresso, where you use an espresso machine that typically utilizes a finely ground coffee that you press into a puck and extract with pressure. And espresso, although different styles, is relatively the same thing. This is also true for pour over and drip, but is not really true for cold brew anymore. What started out as a full immersion process, as we know it, 12 to 24 hours, is now transformed into so many different things. There is not one way or one name for these extraction devices, but rather multiple. And even these extraction devices don't even have names necessarily anymore. We kind of refer to some of them as flash brewers or cold drip or rapid brewers, but some don't even have names. They're rather known as coffee extraction equipment, or maybe the term cold coffee is used, but it can be confusing for us industry professionals as well as consumers, as cold brew has transformed into something else. So although we can probably just keep calling it cold brew, it's often easier to refer to it as coffee extraction or cold coffee, but any of these terms are interchangeable. We just need to know that cold brew has expanded beyond what it used to be. I'm going to talk about some key advantages of this newer technology that's coming to market, but before I do, I kind of want to just talk about a few terms that I'll be using that are important to what we're going to be talking about in the future. So you have TDS, which is total dissolved solids. That is the amount of coffee particles that exist in the coffee beverage. So if you have a TDS of 1.5%, then that beverage is 98.5% water. There is extraction yield. This is the amount of coffee particles that you were able to extract from the coffee grounds. Extraction yield is specifically crucial in cold brew as it relates to your yield and the amount of product you're able to create, but also the complexity of that product. So as we increase our extraction yield, you will see an increase in complexity in the cup as you're able to extract more things that lead to flavor complexity. But these two work together. So as you increase extraction yield, you'll probably decrease your TDS, as you see here in the graph, to maintain that ideal zone of balance. Not too much strength, not too much weakness, but your RTD beverage is nice and balanced. So there's that term RTD. That refers to ready to drink. That is the TDS that you will probably serve the cold brew at to your consumer. So a typical TDS of cold brew might be something like 1.5%. Now that we've talked about that, you can understand the rest of this. So these new extraction technologies are a lot more efficient in that they are always brewing above 20% extraction yield, which I said earlier is really crucial to the amount of output and the flavor complexity of that cold brew. Some of these technologies are able to also extract volatile compounds, which are critical in the complexity of your cup. They are extremely fast in extractions, so some average maybe 2-hour extractions, but all the way down to even less than 30 minutes, you're able to brew a batch of cold brew from start to finish. This technology is very clean and safe. The more we get into this cold brew industry and the more it grows, the more food safety regulations are coming down. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, where it is hot year-round, and we drink cold brew all year round. But we are known as kind of the forefront of the cold brew industry in that our county and our food safety authorities are really, really strict into how we produce cold brew. And they don't even let us do a lot of things like how you guys brew cold brew now is not how we are able to. They've created a set of rules that are very strict, but this new technology works within those rule sets. This technology is also pretty modular and scalable. What I mean by that is like you all that roast coffee have sample roasters and you have your production roasters. And those profiles do not translate from one to the other. Maybe they do, but most of the time they don't. In this scenario, they're very small extraction pieces of equipment that can just do even a pound or two of coffee, yet the ones that brew hundreds of pounds of coffee are almost exactly the same. So you're able to scale up things very simply and know that what you do on a small level will translate to the larger production volume. They're also very consistent and provide a lot of control. They're integrated with data and technology that, just like your roaster and your roasting technology, allow you to control variable points, log profiles, and see how your extraction went over time. And lastly, they're usually brewing as a concentrate. So that is somewhat different from how cold brew is typically brewed at an RTD. But most of this technology is extracting as a concentrate, which you will later dilute into an RTD beverage with water. On that point, I think cold brew concentrates are pretty much going to explode into the market with so many different applications, but their applications also have a sustainability impact. If you think about sending out concentrate into the world, it is a lot less packaging material than you would use with ready-to-drink coffee. You have kegs, pouches, cans. All of these can have an extremely higher utilization per packaging unit as a concentrate versus an RTD product. We'll get more to that later. Regarding that, though, there is decreased transportation in that you don't have as many pickups and deliveries to your cafes or potentially your wholesale accounts because that coffee is in a concentrated form and they're utilizing it over a longer period of time than they would have with an RTD. The concentrate also takes up a smaller footprint, both in the production environment but also the cafe setting. Both are crucial. In a production environment, if you're packaging concentrate, you no longer have to hold the massive amount of RTD that you would have before. And in a cafe where refrigeration space is pretty critical, a cold brew concentrate in a very small packaging form is a lot more useful. And lastly, this cold brew concentrate will have a longer shelf life. Ready-to-drink coffee is not known to have a long shelf life due to its pH and its water activity. However, cold brew concentrate has a reduced water activity, therefore leading to a higher concentration of coffee solubles in that coffee liquid, which makes it harder for bacteria and spoilage microbes to grow. Some of the applications that we can think of regarding cold brew concentrates, there's so many, but these are just a few. You can use it as an espresso replacement. This is already being done where I'm from. In cafes where there's maybe only one barista or drive-thrus, no longer do you have to even buy an espresso machine, but you can craft your concentrate to either match the TDS exactly or create recipes where the concentrate is replacing that espresso and you can create drinks really, really quickly and even with less baristas. There are also RTD blending systems where, and this has really been in the market for a while, but since this technology is coming into smaller formats and cafes have more accessibility to the technology, they are now integrating this into their cafes. But you can take the cold brew concentrate and hook it up to a system that blends it with water like a soda machine would with syrups and carbonated water, but blend it to the exact TDS that you set. So a cold brew concentrate that has a TDS of 8 or something like that could be blended with water down to a TDS of 1.5 and create a utilization of that keg that is maybe 4 or 5 times what it used to be. Cold brew concentrate can also be used as an ingredient component. If you think about cocktails, baked goods, or many other things, it is an ingredient. So there's many manufacturers out there that are looking for high quality cold brew concentrates to use as an ingredient in their product that they're making. Lastly, in the growing world of instant coffee, cold brew concentrate is actually being used quite heavily. If you can have a really complex, high quality, high TDS cold brew concentrate, that will actually provide you a higher yielding instant coffee, making it more profitable. Here is a case study I did with a company that I work for that shows you the real importance of extraction yield and TDS. This is 1 year of production where we monitored the gallons per year and how much coffee they used and how much they spent on that coffee. So this company produced 50,000 gallons in this given year, and they spent an average of $6 a pound to buy the green and roast the coffee. So this isn't even including cold brew labor or anything else, but just simply the green coffee and the cost to roast it internally. So in that 50,000 gallons per year, they spent $204,000 to produce that amount of coffee at an average extraction yield of 20%. Pretty good if you know that before, maybe with full immersion, sometimes those extraction yields were under 20%, more like 18 or 19. But nevertheless, if you simply increase their extraction yield to 22%, you see a decreased need of coffee of about 9.56%, which is $19,500. Quite a dramatic decrease with just a 2% increase. And if you went to 24%, which is easily possible with this new technology, you see that decrease to $34,500, or almost 17%. This does not include labor to produce the cold brew or anything else, but simply the amount of coffee used, which is quite crazy. And referencing our graph earlier, as we increase extraction yield, you are also able to lower your TDS. This means you are blending more water with the coffee concentrate to actually just maintain the same taste. So the strength will theoretically stay the same, yet you're using more water and less coffee to produce it. So these are compounding, not separate. This coffee company produced their cold brew at 1.60 TDS. Same thing, 50,000 gallons per year. If they were able to increase to 22%, they could drop that to 1.5 TDS, saving them an additional $15,000 or like another 7% decrease. But if they went down to 1.4%, that would increase to $27,000 of cost savings, or 13%. So in just a small scenario, one company was able to save 30% on just their coffee costs in 1 year, or almost about $60,000, which is pretty incredible. This could lead you to buy maybe nicer green coffee, pay your employees more, or just create a more profitable system in general, where cold brew in the past was your highest cost of goods sold item on your menu. Now it is actually almost the same as everything else. So it's really a huge opportunity to enter the industry and not be so scared of the costs. I really think that this is the forefront of this cold brew era, and as we see the industry growing massively, and I encourage you all to look into new technology and find what is the right fit for your cafe. But yeah, if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them later on. Thank you.